And welcome to Reporters. In this edition, we focus on the plight of Burma's Rohingya people. For years, they've been stateless and impoverished, and in recent months, tens of thousands of them have fled makeshift homes amid an operation by the Burmese military. The treatment at the hands of the Burmese state has drawn strong criticism from the UN and rights groups. The country's de facto leader and one-time human rights icon, Aung San Suu Kyi, forced to deny that ethnic cleansing is taking place. Our correspondent Camille Le Pomellec went to visit refugees living in camps in neighbouring Bangladesh.
This is the southeast tip of Bangladesh, right next to the border with Burma. We are on our way to Rohingya refugee camps. As we near our destination, the number of refugees begging on the road increases. Dozens sit clustered along the highway. Mostly women and children asking for alms in order to survive.
If someone gives me some money, I will be able to go to the market to buy wood, rice and fish if possible. My daughter is sick, but I do not have the money to take her to a doctor.
How much money did you make today?
Almost nothing, 25 cents.
And me only 10 cents.
Since October 2016, a huge exodus of Rohingyas has taken place. They have fled Burma to reach Bangladesh. Here, they live crammed up in these huts made of plastic and metal. Fariha Begum is 70 years old. She is one of the last remaining survivors of her family.
I come from the village of Borashi Darbara. It's in Burma. My husband was murdered by the military. They dragged him out of the house and executed him. Then they took my oldest son. He had 4 children. We tried to stop the soldiers, but they kicked us away. I don't know where my son is. At midnight, I escaped from my village. I was very scared. I spent the night in a jungle in the hills. I hid all night. The next morning, I took a boat to come to Bangladesh. I could not bring anything with me. Just the clothes I was wearing.
Fariha survives on the kindness of her neighbors.
Could you give me some rice? I haven't eaten since yesterday.
We also have to beg, but if we do find some rice, we'll give you some.
According to data released by the United Nations, Muslim Rohingyas are one of the most persecuted minorities in the world. They have lived in Burma for over 200 years but are denied citizenship and made to endure a form of religious apartheid. In recent times, they have been victims of frequent and allegedly state-sponsored pogroms at the hands of local Buddhists. But last October, some Rohingyas hit back violently.
If you want to avenge the honor of your daughters and your mothers, if you want to protect our mosques of the Arakan Rohingya, you must undertake jihad.
This previously unknown group of young activists attacked several border posts of the Burmese army and killed 9 people. The attack prompted a brutal response: torture, violence, and mass killings. These satellite images compiled by Human Rights Watch show an entire village razed to the ground.
We came here from Burma.
Since the start of the military crackdown last October, 80,000 Rohingya refugees have taken sanctuary in neighbouring Bangladesh. This is in addition to the 300,000 that had already fled here. Their growing presence is not welcomed by Bangladeshis. Back at the Burmese border, we reach Camp Leda, which is turned into a small town. Rohingyas have lived here since the 1990s, but their number has tripled to 45,000 in the last few months. Mohammad Ilyas is the camp manager. Today, he is meeting a group that recently fled Burma. They have been given temporary housing.
Did you just arrive?
Yes, we've just arrived at the camp.
We're 3 families, 10 people altogether.
They'll be able to live here when the weather's still dry, but it won't be possible during the rainy season. They need a permanent housing solution.
I
live in Block A. Come and see me if you have a problem.
Nasir, Noor and Rashida say they went through hell to get here.
One morning I went out to go to the bathroom and I saw soldiers hiding with their weapons. They tied up the men and took the women away to rape them. On the 3rd day, they started burning houses. This is my grandson. His parents have fled and left him behind. The soldiers started to play with their guns. He came and clung to me.
These are my sons, Amir Hussein and Jalaluddin. The military took them one day, and they never came back. They also raped my 11-year-old daughter, Kalima, in front of my eyes before killing her. I don't even know what they did with the body.
The entire village was on fire, and they were shooting bullets at us from a helicopter.
Unable to verify these testimonies, we looked at information made available by the UN to see if the stories overlap. UN investigations reveal that almost 1,000 people were recently killed in a single village, along with the systematic rape of many women.
Allah, how long are you going to leave us floundering? How long will we wander without a home? How many tears will we shed? Allah, give us death rather than this torture.
Meanwhile, we have been asked to stop shooting. The government of Bangladesh has banned foreign journalists from the camps, and we have to leave. But we have just come here to do our work as journalists. We are asked to return to the capital, Dhaka. Bangladesh is a Muslim majority country. It is overpopulated and extremely poor. The Rohingyas are accused of stealing jobs and livelihoods from local people.
We can't house them permanently. We've already given them all the shelter we can. They're bad for the economy. and for the country.
As Muslims, why not welcome them?
As Muslims, of course we would welcome them. Yes, we can help them too, but what is one to do if that works against their own citizens? We are paid €6 a day, but they agreed to work for half the price. This can't go on.
They need to go somewhere else. There are plenty of other countries in the world where they can go.
This anger has also found its way to the parliament, where some members echo a similar sentiment.
Bangladesh is trying its best now to try to resolve the problem bilaterally, but only bilateral efforts will not work. There has to be regional and international pressure on the Myanmar government to make amends, to fix the situation within Myanmar and stop the impunity.
In early February, the Bangladeshi government confirmed that it had plans to settle the Rohingyas on an uninhabited island like this one, before sending them back to Burma. Meanwhile, the Burmese army has announced the end of its military campaign, but it refuses to take responsibility for the abuses, despite international pressure. Many fear that this could further radicalize the refugees. For the moment, the Imam prays for peace above all.
People have lost faith in Allah. That's why they're so confused. Who can give peace? Allah. Allah alone can give peace.
How are you feeling?
I don't feel good. It burns inside. I was fine until this afternoon. But now the fever's getting worse.
Fariha may never see her home again. Persecuted by Burma and rejected by Bangladesh, without a home or any permanent shelter, the troubles of the Rohingyas are far from over.
Well, journalist behind that report, Camille Le Pomellec, joins us now. Camille, we saw there that your camera crew not always welcome.
No, absolutely. It wasn't easy at all after we've been there in the south of Bangladesh. After only 2 hours of shooting inside a refugee camp, the Bangladeshi police came and asked us to leave. They even asked us to go back to Dhaka, to the capital city. So thankfully, I was working with a very well-connected Bangladeshi journalist. So through her contacts and through her contact with a Secret Service member, we were able to stay one more day. To understand this attitude of the Bangladeshi police, of the Bangladeshi government, want us to understand that Bangladesh is still a very poor country, overcrowded, and more of its inhabitants dislike the presence of 300,000 Rohingya on their soil, even if they are Muslim. So there is this project, which is talking about in the report, from the Bangladeshi government to relocate all the Rohingyas, the 300,000, on a remote island, which is we has no water, no electricity, and this project has drawn a lot of criticism from the international organization. So they don't want any international media there.
Camille, accusations of killings, rape, torture against the Burmese army. How's the government responded?
Well, the Burmese government chose to reject all the criticism very strongly last November, when the first testimonies of atrocities came out, when the first pictures, satellite pictures came out, when you see that's inside the report, when you see all these burned villages with the satellite pictures, it just simply chose to ignore it. Then the video came with when you see some Burmese soldier beating up Rohingya people, even if they have no weapon. Then they choose to react a little bit. Aung San Suu Kyi has dismissed a few soldiers, but apart from that, no ethnic cleansing. This is only an internal matter of Burmese security. That's what they say.
And you quoted there this UN report detailing some of the alleged violence against the Rohingyas. What else has the international community been doing?
Well, they've been quite vocal, to be honest. France has strongly criticized the Burmese government. There was this Nobel Prizes. You know that Aung San Suu Kyi is also a Nobel Prize. So 12 of them wrote to her, and they were pressuring her. A lot of countries have been, but ever since there is no consequences. Aung San Suu Kyi, a few days ago, she was in Brussels, and she again rejected the idea of an independent investigation panel investigating on what happened against the Rohingya in her country, in Burma.
Camille Le Pomellec, thanks very much for joining us. That's it for this edition of Reporters. Do stay with us here on France 24.